How's it going, YouTube? Coming today with another video, and today what I have to bring to you is going to be a really important guide to the format, and I hope that you learned something today because there's a lot of new things going on that I want to make sure that everyone's aware of before we go into a lot of these tournaments. If you haven't already checked out my sponsors over on Imperium, Dragonshield, Gem, CloudSupplyCo, Riw Hobbies and Games, Grimoire, or ChainLink, definitely go ahead and check them all out down below in the description. Without further ado, let's hop right on in because there's a lot to cover today, truly. The first thing is that the Centurion deck, the Chimera deck, and the Raid Raptor deck are all getting very prominent in the meta right now. Make sure you know how to counter these decks. Centurion is a deck that is really hard to counter right now because they have Auxilia and whatnot, so they're not really losing to Super Poly as hard, so you need cards like Book of Eclipse and what have you to really be able to out the board. Then we have Chimera, which is like Melodious Chimera, which shout out to the guy who won the Toronto Regional. I do have the list right here. We'll go over it. I was there yesterday. Very cool event, and that deck was going absolutely absurd, and we'll talk about that. And then Raid Raptor was everywhere in that room. I saw it so much, so just make sure that you are prepared for it. It is pretty real for the most part. If they go first, they can CloudSupplyCo you. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. But the rise in popularity of these three is going to make a lot of people change up their siding a little bit. So the thing I want to talk about is going to be the first place list from yesterday, the Melodious package. This package is more absurd than the Adventure package, as far as I'm concerned. Ostinato is one of the craziest cards I've seen in a long time. You can do a lot with this. Overlay for the rank 7 to have the Vortex for an early negation, so then you have like Appaloosa plus Vortex alongside your board, which is like a hand rip, and the Dia Bells. The Dia Bells is actually insane. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro website messed up, and the second Tau is supposed to be the Dia Bells, but that card's absurd in this deck. Very, very cool deck. If you can get your hands on it, I definitely recommend it. Right now, it feels very strong. A lot of times, you're not fusion locked because you're not actually using Birthmat effect on field. You're using all the cards to kind of extend everything out, right? So you're using like the graveyard effect of Birthmat to bring something back out. You're using Tau to bring something back out. You're using the Birthmat, the fusion to Foolish Burial, the Archfiend card in the side to be able to get to the Symbol Archfiend. We'll talk about that. This engine of Melodious cards is only 8 cards. They're playing the Tam Tam as well, which gets you to another polymerization. But overall, the package itself is pretty crazy. Being able to go Ostinato, dump double refrain, summon Botcha, summon the other refrain, add the couplet, and then couplet, when you add it, reborn a refrain, scale it to add Concerto, make the other Botcha, overlay for the Absolute, and then link both off for Cross Sheep and summon out Vortex. So it's very strong. Ostinato is definitely getting banned at some point for sure. There's no way this keeps going on, but I think that we still have this ban list for Nats. So it's going to be like a game time decision if we have a different ban list or not. But definitely interested to see what happens. Definitely a very cool deck list, and be on the lookout for something like this because this could happen. And with that being said, play Droll again. I think Droll is insane. I'm playing Droll again. Just too many decks like this are going off. Like, what happens when your opponent goes refrain add couplet and you just activate Droll? Like, it's so awkward. So I highly recommend playing Droll again. I think that it's time. So Symbol Archfiend is like a pseudo D-barrier. It's very solid. You can search it when you dump the Archfiend. It says this turn, neither player can special summon monsters with the same card types they already control. If you do not control 2 or more of the same card types, all Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Exceed, and Link monsters you currently control gain 500. Very cool card overall. I prefer D-barrier, but if you have a way to like search a D-barrier, then you should. It's very solid. So the other thing too is in the meta, a lot of people are trying out the Melodious Snake Eye deck, which is ending on a Link board with Trigate Wizard as their new Omni. We do have cards like Idly. They can go ahead and break an entire Link board by sending everything to the graveyard, which is pretty crazy. You also can side Kaijus. Side like 3 Gameciel. If you Kaiju the Appaloosa, it turns off the Trigate and they lose the Appaloosa. So if you are worried about seeing this at an event, just side Kaijus. Like, it breaks the entire board immediately. They really don't have a lot. Like, after that, they have like a Princess and an IP, and that's it. So as long as you can play through that, especially with 5 other cards in your hand, which you should be able to, you should be fine. You should be fine. But definitely just hitting them with the kaiju is enough. Going on here, so this is really frustrating. These are two things that I want to talk about. We now have 2 new instances of kaiju slumber in the game. And for everyone who understands why kaiju slumber is up here, let me explain it for those who don't. We have card effects in this game that only work because Konami says they do. If you have a kaiju on your board or on your opponent's board, you can legally activate Interrupted Kaiju Slumber to pop that kaiju and summon 2 new kaijus, which again shouldn't be allowed to happen because you're attempting to summon another kaiju, but it is legal. You can bell the entire effect of Ostinato, even though the Grave effect to Reborn is 2 separate effects because they're separated by a period, and then it says during the end phase. So they're 2 separate effects completely, but you can bell the whole card. It makes no sense. It's very frustrating, but you're allowed to do it. The other one that's very frustrating is Imperium on Bacha. This card says, while you control this fusion summon card, the activated effects of your Melodious fusion monsters cannot be negated. The activated effects cannot be negated. So Melodious can sit on a Baguska with this and activate all their effects because they can't be negated. You cannot Appaloosa or like a bell a Melodious effect of a fusion, but you can Imperm or Valor the Bacha on board and not only negate the entire effect of Bacha when they go to summon from deck, but you just turn off the card completely. Which is crazy, because it says the activated effects cannot be negated, but technically when you negate the card with like an Imperm, it's similar to when you Snatch Steal on a Noir. It's a effect that is resolved, and it's no longer an activated effect. It's just a resolved effect that applies to the card. So you will blank the entire card, which is very crazy, and I cannot believe this is being ruled like this, but I guess it kind of makes sense. It makes more sense than this one because this makes literally 0 sense. Like, actually 0 sense, but you're allowed to do it, which is really interesting. So, the next one is going to be, you should consider doing this. So, if you play against the Snake Eye deck, there is a card called Metaltronus that a lot of people are playing in the sideboard. You can target your opponent's Appaloosa, which will then negate their Appaloosa. You can summon your own Appaloosa, and then you can summon a Selenius underneath their Appaloosa, and then either they have to Promethean Princess pop your Zelanius, or you can go battle and destroy their board because you're co-linked, which is pretty crazy. It's another thing that is really solid into the Snake Eye board. They get left with only an IP. So definitely very cool. Another interaction to really be able to break through that board. This is insane right now. I really do like this card a lot. It really shuts down things like Centurion. It shuts down Voice's Voice if you can droplet the Guardian or just bait the Guardian. It's really good when your opponent's trying to combo and you can just book everything face down, especially with things like Cash. So there's a lot of uses right now behind Book of Eclipse. Even if you're playing as Branded and they have a Cartesia on board, you can rip Eclipse and they are forced to chain Cartesia, but whatever they summon gets immediately book face down and can activate their effects. So it's very nice. I think this card has a lot of uses right now, and you definitely should be running this. If you like this video, definitely let me know down below in the comment section. Check out my Discord, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and I will not be on Metafy anymore. I wanted to leave this on here for one video. I will no longer be associated with Metafy. I'm not on their website. If you want coaching, let me know in Discord, and we can work it out from there. I am not on Metafy anymore. But I do appreciate it, and everyone, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, definitely go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you all so much.